I want to thank the Buddhist Fellowship for giving me this opportunity to talk about this topic, which is about fear. So I thought this was a good opportunity to discuss this topic because if you look around, if you sense around, there's really a lot of fear permeating in the air. Fear, anxiety. And I wanted to actually talk about like the origins of this anxiety and have an understanding of like, why we are reacting this way or responding this way and how other people are responding and reacting this way. Really on the belief that understanding is the key to compassion. Compassion to ourselves and compassion to others. So I'm going to share screen right now and show you a few images. And yeah. So one of the first thing I'm going to show you is really about this. Okay, right, masks. So I just randomly look. So I think this one is actually quite telling. This is, let me just shift this a little bit. This is actually Gwyneth Paltrow. She's like the girlfriend of Iron Man, Here she's looking very pretty. But here she is with a mask. I'm not sure what you notice when you look at the mask, but is there anyone who wants to jump in? What do you notice when you compare these two pictures? Those in the audience, do you want to just jump in? What do you notice?
I think she looks more frightened.
Right. You see her eyes?
Yeah. Her eyes are more alert, more staring. She's more fearful in that picture.
Yeah. So it's clear that there's a frightened look. Okay. And so, right, there's one difference with the mask. And the other thing is, okay, let me show you a few other pictures of masks. Then you tell me your reaction. So these are all pictures of masks. So I just highlight a few. Oh, I'll give you another one. This one, yeah. I want to show you Selena Gomez. Yeah, Selena Gomez. This is the pretty girl here. She's I think she's a singer. But here she is with a mask. Now, again, if you ask me, it doesn't look well, right? There's this idea, this feeling that she doesn't really look well. Yeah. Let me go back to the previous pictures. I would invite you to actually, everyone looking here to take a look at mask and tell me. Of course, if it's not live for you, feel for yourself what is happening to you actually when you start looking at this masks. I don't know. So, and this is about the time we're going to do some check-in exercises that I'm going to talk about. Okay. So, and before that, so tell me, anyone who's in the audience, what's your own sense looking at people with masks here?
That they have something to hide, or they're hiding from something.
Something to hiding from something, yeah. Like actually, if you look at, okay, there's only one face without a mask here. There's like in a human face, the mouth. The mouth is actually a very important cue to whether a person is friendly or not. For example, if you look here, the only cue I have are the eyes. Okay. Now, it would have made a difference if I could see her mouth as well, but we can't. With a mask, we don't really see the mouth. Now, this cue is very important because the lips with curled up shows that it's a friendly face. And we can't tell that at this point in time. So there's a cue missing. So what I'm trying to say is that with this prevalence of mass at this point in time, we're actually subjecting ourselves to a lot of cues in the environment where we are looking at faces. Faces that could actually carry their anxiety, and even without anxiety, okay, there's actually a dearth of information in terms of whether the person is friendly or not. If you look at this one, even the eyes, this picture here, even the eyes are right now hidden. There are absolutely no cues. We have no sense of whether the person is friendly or not. So remember this point, in a while, because I'm going to actually talk about how all these environmental cues actually affect us. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to show you is what masks do to us. Okay, so I'm going to show you the PowerPoints. So this is the topic, right? Understanding and coping with fear. We talk about how the actress looked a little fearful and unwell, for Selena Gomez. But look at this. Now this is actually I took this from the internet, and this is actually a shot of a bank robbery. So these guys are wearing masks. If you watch enough movies, you know that bad guys wear masks because they, as Sister Vicky mentioned just now, there might be something to hide. You want to hide their features. Okay. So if you, again, I took this from the internet. If you watch Avengers, right? This is the Winter Soldier, originally a bad guy. Can't see his features. I think this is Bate from Batman, also a bad guy. Okay, so the point I wanted to put across is that masks actually can give us signals. When the brain picks up certain cues, it gives us signals of like something to hide, unsure about whether the person is friendly or not, because they're missing cues. The mouth is missing. You cannot tell whether the person is friendly or not. At the same time, the point is that there's this sense that something is wrong. Like suddenly you see, like, this is also not a common sight to have people wearing masks all over. All this adds up. It all adds up to how the brain processes information. Actually, tonight, what I was going to explain is really like how the brain processes these cues. Now, I'm going to take a pause right now because I just wanted to jump in and talk about masks, because actually that's the most prevalent aspect, of what we are bombarded with visually at this point in time. So right now, actually, what I want to do is do a, a report. Now, this report is actually a report of ourselves, and this is also part of the coping mechanisms that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to, and this report is really a report about yourself. So I'm just going to invite you, whether you're watching this live or otherwise, to just at this point, just close your eyes. Okay. So I'm going to ask you certain questions, and I'd like you to just report to yourself, mentally, okay, silently. So observe your breath right now. So notice whether your breath is shallow or deep, meaning to say, are you just breathing up to the throat level or the chest level, or is it abdominal breathing? Actually, for some of us, we may not even be breathing in the sense that you're holding your breath. Watch, observe. Is it fast or is it slow? Okay, so moving on, I'd like you to actually feel your body. Overall, how do you feel about your body? Is it relaxed? Or do you feel pockets of tension? And to do this, you actually need to be able to just go into your body and just feel it. Are there areas in your body that's tense, heavy? So, for example, we can start with the head. Is your head heavy? Or is it light? Or is it tense? And when we look at the head, we can actually sort of divide it into parts. How about the head? How is it doing right now? Now, this exercise does not require you to actually try to do anything. It is just a report. Okay, so your forehead. Do you feel movements there? Is it tense? Actually, observe whether you're frowning. Next, the jaw. Is it tight or is it relaxed? I'm going to move on now to your neck and your shoulders. Do you feel that you're relaxed on these areas or is it tense? Heavy. Are your shoulders heavy? And what about your back? Do you feel you're holding on to something? Is it tight? Is it aching? What about your arms and your hands? No judgment here, just a report. Move on now to your hips and your buttocks. Hips would be closer to your lower back. Any tension there? Relax. Hands, check yourself. And now move on to your legs, your feet. How are they doing? All right. So from the breath to the body, we actually move on to your emotions, your feeling. At this point in time, how are you feeling? So I'm going to name, and you can tell me, and tell yourself actually, not tell me, tell yourself, report to yourself what's happening. So again, in terms of feeling, are you feeling heavy or are you feeling light? And this is an emotion. Do you feel anxious? Is there some anxiety, disease, or uneasiness around yourself? There's no judgment, just a report. Next, you can actually start asking yourself, in terms of emotions, is there sadness or do you feel joyful? So this is about emotions. Now we move to your thoughts. What is in your mind right now? Now, the way to actually monitor at this point is like, is it full of thoughts? Is it thoughts of the future, worries of what's going to happen? Maybe there are fleeting thoughts about what has happened in the past. Is it a busy mind? Is it a worried mind? Or is it a relaxed mind? Remind yourself again, don't judge, just report. Finally, this is the overall, your overall spirit, your overall sense. How are you feeling? Are you feeling optimistic about things in general? Are you feeling a little like pessimistic? You ask yourself, are you looking forward to tomorrow? Or is there some sense of dread? Okay, so we've come to the check-in or your self-report. Now, the importance of all this self-report and check-ins is that, you actually need to know what is happening to yourself. And why is that important? Because it's this awareness, you need to be aware of yourself in order to know if there's anything in the environment, that has impacted you. Otherwise, we live in a state of unawareness. These things accumulate, and what you think is normal actually could be pretty abnormal. So, for example, if you've been feeling anxious all this while, and you feel like, oh, yeah, actually, I'm feeling okay. Well, if you never do a report on yourself, you would not know, like, have you changed over the past few days or weeks, so that you actually have a sense of whether or not you actually have changed, your emotions have changed, your thought patterns has changed, your body has changed. I repeat again, what you think is normal may not be normal, because if you haven't been monitoring yourself, you would not know how to, as I will explain later, how to regulate yourself. So if I could invite some of the participants here at this point, what is your report at this point, if you don't mind sharing? And if you don't want to share, that's okay. What is your own sense of how you're doing right now? What you did yesterday? Yeah,
For me, when I scan my body, I feel that a bit tense on my neck as well as on my forehead. When you, emotion, in terms of emotion, I feel a bit anxious.
Anxious, okay. Do you know the source of your anxiety?
Yeah, because I just came here from my work, so
okay.
a bit anxious with my work just now.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. If I had asked you, do you feel that this is normal? How would you respond?
Maybe previously I didn't really notice about this emotion.
Right. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Richard. So, so this is actually, I interrupted this because I wanted to actually, at the start of this, let you have a sense of what's happening to you. And it also, in a sense, is deliberate because I wanted to show you these masks and let it impact you a little bit. Because as I will explain later, all these things actually cumulatively will affect us. Yeah. I mentioned masks just now. All right. I'm going to show you a few other cues that is affecting us, and then move on. Okay. So I'm going to show you this now. All right. So look at this picture here. I took this from the internet again. I think this is in Hong Kong. But this is not peculiar to Hong Kong. It is happening in Singapore, it's happening in Australia, in the United States, everywhere. Again, I thank you for being here because your responses are very important. I'd like to ask you again. I did the check-in just now, right? About 5 things. They are your breath, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, and then like your whole like well-being. Now tell me, when you look at this picture, queues, long snaking queues, empty shelves, tell me, how does it impact any of these 5 aspects that I talked about?
I guess I wasn't actually involved in the panic buying, but I did wonder why people would panic that much. Maybe because I felt that it is so alien to Singapore that we will run out of food. So when I looked at these pictures, in a way, I felt quite shocked, and also I didn't really understand that behavior. That's for my own opinion.
Okay, thank you. So shock, a sense of like disbelief, not understanding what's going on. Okay, fine.
Yes,
How
yeah.
about yeah, thank you. Anyone else? I'd like to have a sense of others' reactions. It's just reaction looking at this.
Okay.
Just okay.
Yes.
Actually, when the so-called panic buying, I was still working, and I went for lunch just near my lunch place. There's a NTUC, there's a supermarket. I saw the queuing is very long. Then actually, I'm quite shocked why they buy so fast, and yet also a bit worried. What happened if I need something and I cannot find it?
Okay, so I'm going to pause you here. Okay, so I hear you say shock when you see the queue and you start worrying, right? When you see the queue.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What else? I mean, that's fine if that's all. How about what was it Brother Heinz who responded? Richard, do you have anything to tell us?
Maybe just worried about similar like worried about the future. What happens
You will
if
see
I
this scene.
cannot find? Yeah.
What about when you see this scene here? I'm sure we saw some of this. When you see this scene, what goes on in your mind, in your body, whatever?
Yeah, also shocked and disbelief. But actually, for me, actually, the government assurances came quite fast, and NTUC stocked up quite fast. So I wasn't that worried. Then the next day, of course, when you go out in the streets, you see the toilet paper bag again. So for me, there wasn't so much fear as in, not understanding why they did it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Right. So again, disbelief or worry or shock, so a variety of explanation, but you notice that this is unusual, right? This is just very unusual to some, or it's worrying to others. Okay. Now, this is a scene from Hong Kong. I didn't use Singapore pictures in case you get someone take picture and they get unhappy. So there's a scene from Hong Kong. Okay, notice what's happening. Like stocking on toilet paper, which is not unusual. As I said, it happens in Singapore, elsewhere, Australia. But you see, this look of disbelief or why is he doing this? But see, what are they doing? They're holding the same thing, but they're looking at him and say, why is he taking so many? Okay, I'm going to show you something else. So there's this other scene I wanted to show you. Yeah. This is from the Straits Times. Yeah. So I just picked this up. Okay. Aussie police call for calm after toilet paper tussle. So these women were like fighting over the toilet paper. So notice there's aggression right now as well. Okay. So we've named a few emotions already, right? Aggression, fear, worry, shock, disbelief. Okay. I'm going to show you a few more scenes, and then I'm going to what I'm trying to do right now is actually to name the emotions, reactions, the thoughts that's really happening around us. So I'm going to show you something else as well. So this is a scene in Singapore. Again, reactions. When you see this, and I'm quite sure you've seen this, what is your reaction? Again, based on the 5 things we talked about, what is your reaction looking at this?
For me, if I'm driving, I would be quite happy because the road is quite empty. But yeah, this is highly, highly unusual.
Highly, highly unusual. And I invite you, as you say this, can you tell me what's happening to your heart, that emotion-wise? What is happening? You say unusual, then can you name an emotion that's coming up looking at this? Or anyone? So no pressure on anyone here. If you find an emotion that comes out looking at this, tell me.
I feel a bit relieved because everyone is doing their part.
Oh, you feel relieved, good. Okay. Anyone else?
I guess I also feel a bit of a sadness that the things weren't as they were before. That things have changed. That everybody has to stay at home and cooped up, and we are not our lively selves anymore. So I guess in a way there's a sense of sadness that we've lost something.
Yeah, sense of sadness. Yeah. Yes. Brother Heinz, you want to say something? You unmuted yourself as well. Yeah.
For me, it's a bit happy and sad in the same time.
Right. I'm going to show you another scene. This is the causeway, right? JB Causeway. When you look at this scene again, similar reaction or any difference? Is there any new reaction coming from this?
Yeah, still a bit sad that we have locked down our borders, that people are not traveling to and fro. Yeah. And then also, I guess in the beginning, I also did wonder, oh dear, where are the vegetables coming from now?
So when you say that, there's worry, right?
Well. Yes, worry, fear of anxiety.
Sadness, yeah.
Sadness, yes.
Yes. Okay. No. So thank you for your participation. This is very important because we are actually collectively naming a lot of these things that's happening to us. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to show you something else. I will piece all this together. I'm just naming it a lot of things. You may not know where is this all living. I'm picking up the fact that, have you not noticed that what we've been naming so far has been a lot of like negative emotions, negative thoughts, like shock. I think there was one, was it, so you say, oh, if you were driving, it's okay, but largely it's been negative emotions, negative thoughts, okay? I'm going to show you something else, okay? This one, okay. Right. Okay, look at this here, okay? All right. Everyone unmute right now and tell me immediately what are you noticing right now? Okay, just tell me immediately tell me the number that strikes you.
3 million.
3 million, okay. Sister Hui Kim and Brother Heinz, yes. What else are you noticing? Or what are you noticing, not what else? What do you notice right away?
Okay, for me, since the past few weeks, I try to look for the recover. When I read this one, I look the 800,000 one.
Oh, okay, good. Sister Hui Kim?
I look at the deaths.
Okay, thank you. I can tell you, so Brother Heinz, when you first, in the original weeks, what were you looking at? You said you recently started looking at the recovery, but originally, what were you focusing your attention on?
No, because when I see the screen, roughly I know when read the coronavirus cases. So it's instead of reading the 3 million one, is jump to the recovered one.
Okay.
Because for the past few weeks, I try to, instead of look how many people infected or how many deaths we have, I try to look how many cured, recovered from the illness.
What makes you do that?
Is to make less worried, because
Okay, very
we
good.
can see more recover than more debt.
Right, right. So what I'm pointing out here is that I actually did this little experiment with another group. I tell you that by and large, most people focus on this number, cases and deaths. Okay, all right. But what Brother Heinz is doing is, as he says, is actually to actually make himself less worried. It's a recovery. This number is actually quite impressive. Basically, this has improved. Okay, previously I think it was like a quarter. Right now it's about 1/3. That's slightly over a third. That's under 1/3 that's recovered. But a lot of people actually get focus on this. Now, again, no judgment. This is actually very natural. Again, from an evolutionary point of view, the human brain is actually wired to look out for negatives. Why? Because if you remember the hunting days, you actually will look out for danger in the forest when you go hunting. So the human mind, science has shown, is wired to actually look out for negative things. And now there's an abundance of negative things to look at. And again, what I'm trying to say is that we are actually not only being bombarded by negative news, but the brain is actually actively seeking these negative news. Why? In order to actually protect, itself. The human notices this in order to protect itself. The hunter notices, any danger, any rustling of the leaves, any movements in the bushes, in order to protect himself so they can run. So with this, I'm actually going to talk about, so I will come back to this. I've actually laid out some of the things that the brain notices. And I've also tried to elicit like kind of the reactions from the cues that are actually bombarding us and within that partially negative. I'm actually now going to actually talk a little bit about anatomy and also what neuroscience is telling us. The reason for doing this is, as I said earlier on, understanding is the key to compassion. And then you'll understand why people are hoarding toilet paper. Okay. So this one here. Take a look at this, all right? So forget about all the details. Just follow what I'm trying to say, okay? There are a lot of details here, but there are three or four things here that's important. Now, this is your eyeball. So suppose you actually see masks, or you see a long queue, okay? Now this goes in, there's a visual stimuli, okay? And then actually it impacts, okay, it goes to the thalamus, which is actually like, it actually is sensitive to all the sensory stimuli. Okay, this is in the brain. Okay, by the way, this is the brain, the human brain. So whether it's visual, whether it's auditory, whether it's smell or touch, it goes to the thalamus. Now, this routes the information in one of two ways. Now, there's a path B, which is actually the longer route. What it does is that, now this part here, without being technical, is the top layer is like this part is the prefrontal cortex, but this is the thinking part. This is the part that is capable of compassion, of gratitude, it thinks, okay? So it goes through here and you will say, oh, there's a queue forming. Oh, there are masks. Oh, and if it's logical, you would say, okay, yeah, people are protecting themselves. Oh, everyone is doing their job. Great. Okay, it is logical. And then here it goes to this almond-shaped part, which we call the amygdala. And this is the star here. She's the star here today. This amygdala is a center which processes all these cues, and particularly emotions. And also it will activate certain responses within us. Now, So here, if it comes in here and say, oh, everyone is doing their job, we are safe, she relaxes. Okay, this part relaxes. It's just the picture I was going to show, but this is an organ, okay? This this is the long route. Now the amygdala, okay, actually there's a short route to the amygdala. This is a long route from the thalamus, which actually processes the stimuli. But there's a shorter route. What's the shorter route? From the stimuli, which is the scene of masks, but in ancient times when we were hunting, it could be, you know, like the sight of a tiger. It could be the sight of a tiger, or it could be the sight of rustling in leaves. You're in a deep forest and there's rustling in the leaves. Now, this information in this case, when it senses danger, goes straight to the amygdala. So the amygdala is actually the organ that actually responds to danger. Okay. Now, this is a very, very fast route. It goes straight to the amygdala. Okay. The amygdala will actually send distress signals. This like fire neurons to this very important part called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is like, you know, a control station, you know, that activates our responses. What responses? Our responses to actually escape, run, fight, or fight. You want to run away, or sometimes you're so frightened you don't know what to do. But see, the hypothalamus will activate this part here. It goes around the spinal cord, what we call the autonomous nervous system, and it will trigger your ability, your tendency to fight. You know, fight the tiger, fight the snake, or run away if you sense, if you see a tiger, it's like, whoa, no way, you run. Or when actually the fear is too much, you freeze. Now, I want to explain this a little slower. This is a very fast response. It doesn't go through this process like, oh, the tiger, I hear a rustling, and I see a pair of eyes. I wonder, maybe it's my daughter hiding, playing there. Maybe it's someone safe. I have no idea. Well, shall we just wait a while, get more information, you know? Or like, should I just look again more closely, you know? And then, then decide whether to and then make a decision like, should I run? Should I not run? If you do this, I can tell you, you'll be like luncheon meat, okay? We'll be top floors. We would like, you know, we'll be dead meat. The human would not have been able to survive long if it always goes through this thinking process. In other words, this is actually a survival instinct, a reaction. The reaction, that means this shortcut is a reaction to survival. Senses danger, amygdala is activated, calls for help, hypothalamus is activated. It then sends hormones down the brain stem here, and I show you. So this is another diagram. So again, the hypothalamus actually will send the hormones down. Now, remember, the brain senses danger. What will happen is that now it sends the hormones down, and what will happen is that the sympathetic nervous system, never mind all these systems, okay, gets activated. What will happen is that the eyes get dilated, the pupils get dilated. Why? So they can see clearly. You see the danger. There's danger. I told you the amygdala is like a response, you know, the organ that actually will be responsible for us surviving in terms when there's danger. You need this flow of saliva. You don't want to be like getting like, you know, salivating for food. There's no time for it. Okay, you will notice like if you are activated, triggered, the mouth is dry. Now I'm saying all this now is that I would hope that you actually monitor yourself back to the report card on yourself. Notice if any of this is happening. Is your heart beating fast? Because when you're activated, triggered, the flight or the fight mode, your heart will beat faster. The bronchi is dilated, your lungs, you're supposed to take in more oxygen. You need more oxygen if you need to run. And then at the same time, your stomach, the stomach contractions will be inhibited. You won't have to secrete like juices to make you hungry. No time to be hungry. It's just run for your life. Now there'll be secretion of like glucose so that you have energy, to run. There's adrenaline, to charge you up. And then this is the least of appropriate time, to go to the toilet. Okay, so these are actually the autonomous nervous system functioning, and this is what I call the sympathetic nervous system. You will activate all this. What happens is that, when your heart beats faster, and then you are preparing to run or you're running, you're getting ready to run, you actually will breathe fast. That's why I ask you, are you breathing fast or slow? You actually will start preparing to run. You have all these symptoms. Your heartbeat will be fast. You're not calm. Okay? Your whole body is actually very tense right now because you're getting ready to activate, to get, like you're getting to run. Let's say, I don't know whether you remember, like when you're younger, you competed in all these running competition. On the mark, get set, go, you tense, and then you just charge. Don't remember the tension in the body. So there'll be tension in the body. The breath is fast, or you're not breathing, or you're holding your breath. So all these are the symptoms that we're talking about, the bodily sensation. Okay, your breath, your emotions. At this point in time, you'll be very tense, and then it's like you're getting to fight or to run off. Okay, so this is what it is in terms of how the body reacts to threats. It bypasses. Remember, it bypasses this logical part. Therefore, remember the toilet paper situation? Like, my gosh, like COVID, like, is an orange code, right? Basically. So therefore, like, danger. Because before that, there was no signal, right? So now that the government says is, code orange, danger. So what will happen? I need to survive. So this gets encoded straight away. I need to survive. So pack up my noodles, like if I'm going to be stuck, like toilet paper is important since I'm going to be stuck at home. To the logical mind, it's not rational. But I'm saying that at this point in time, the rational mind, the thinking mind is not working because there's a cue about danger. It goes straight here. And then, the hypothalamus is activated. Now, in the past, we fight the tiger. Now, we fight with other people. We fight with other people for, in this case, I'm going to show you the. Now there's still a fight. But the fight is your enemy is another shopper who's going after your toilet paper. It's still the same, like, millions or thousands of years, I don't know how many years, like years later, there is still this situation. So I talked about 3 reactions from your sympathetic nervous system. That means when your amygdala gets activated and calls for help. 3 reactions. So the 3 reactions would be as follows. Fight, flight, or freeze. Now, again, I invite you to observe your own behavior over this period. Again, I want to repeat what I said earlier on. what you think is normal may not be normal if you have not been monitoring yourself. So observe any changes. Now, fighting doesn't mean that you go to the supermarket and then like pull someone's hair, you know, over toilet paper or over the Maggi noodles, over the rice. Notice what people have been fighting, right? You know, these are actually basic survival things, you know, rice, noodles, toilet paper, because like, okay, you'd be really uncomfortable if you don't have toilet paper for some people. But what I'm going to invite you to actually observe is that this fight response is just not just about going to the supermarket and pulling someone's hair. Have you noticed, let me ask you now, have you noticed whether you've been more aggressive recently? Have your fuse been shorter? Have you been like more irritable? Are you actually, you know, like flaring up, you know, on your children, on your spouse? Ask yourself. Have you been more whiny, like complaining? If you watch, observe your body, do you feel like more tense here, more tight here? You feel like you cannot breathe and you need to let out hot air? Well, if that's the case, actually, you might already be in fight mode. Now, as I said earlier on, if you were in the forest and there was rustling in the trees, and then you get all tensed up and ready to run or ready to fight, that's perfectly fine. That's your survival. However, what's happening is that if you're constantly activated, constantly triggered, and you're constantly in this aggressive mode, tense mode, shoulder ache mode, neck ache mode, heavy heart mode, not breathing mode, cannot sleep mode, worried mode, it's not going to be very healthy. So I'm going to go back again to what we talked about earlier on. And that was the precursor to this. What are the triggers now? And there's a lot of triggers that will make us get in this fight, flight, or freeze mode. Let me revise what we just said earlier on. First thing we said were masks. Masks are triggers or cues of danger. Unwellness. You know, like like before this, who wears masks? People who are sick, right? You go to hospitals, especially you go to Taiwan, right? Taiwan or Japan, these people, like when they are not well, they will wear masks. So surgeons wear masks, surgical masks. So of fear, of danger, the danger was, I told you, like the villains, the bad guys, robbers, bad people in movies, they wear masks. You know, not only are they signals of danger, not only are they signals of fear or of illness, what happens is that, as I said earlier on, you also lose cues about the mouth. There's a lot of missing information about whether people are friendly or not. So if you walk in the streets and you see people wearing masks, the cue that the amygdala may be picking up is that, my gosh, I may not feel safe because I'm not picking up too many cues about whether this is a safe person. It's almost like if you're back in the jungles, you know, there's a cue missing. Maybe you can't see the rustling, like for some reason, there's a tree blocking the bushes and you cannot see the rustling leaves. So you actually become more alert, you know, when you walk in the forest because there are missing cues. So one thing is masks is a trigger, right? Now, then what is the trigger? If you have been actually watching the news and you've been observing the cases and the deaths, these are all cues of danger. The cases are increasing. Look at the chart. My gosh, these are cases. So now this is where both the logical mind and the shortcut, the B and A will work together. So you're going to be inundated with information, right? My gosh, you look at this, it's danger, deaths, cases. You're getting that cue. Again, the shortcut route may be activated. Okay, I'll go to the long routes in a while. So what else were the cues then? So we talked about other cues, right? Just now, empty roads. Empty roads. Okay. Next one, empty shelves. Earlier on, all these are signs of danger, of scarcity, survival. Right? Remember, if you go back to the basic instincts, survival, danger. Your amygdala will be triggered. So this is a response to threat and danger. Now, moving on to what I said earlier on about this part, there's a longer route. This part in this environment where this actually over time, over a long period of time, this part, the longer route will also trigger your amygdala. Why? If you start looking at the number of deaths, number of cases going up, this is where we we move from talking about responses to immediate danger to what we call fear. Now, fear is anticipated. Fear means, oh, is this going to happen to me? So if you start looking at statistics, then you start worrying. And for good reason, like, oh my gosh, you know, like it's very infectious. Oh my gosh, the cases are increasing. So now there's fear coming in as well. Okay. The other part, this amygdala response is actually an immediate response to danger, threats, and they could be unconscious. But this part is unconscious, and it doesn't involve your logical brain. As I said, the rush for the toilet paper, the fight, all this, your aggression, all these are unconscious reactions. But your fear is now like you have gone through your thinking mind and say, oh my gosh, there's a danger. Now it's going to just feed it. Okay? In a sense, if you don't do anything about it, unfortunately, we are in not a very good situation. We are in a no-win situation. Okay? Right. So I'm going to open up for comments at this point. Any reactions to what we just said? Was there any points? Again, this is for the benefit of audience who may be listening later. Is there anything I need to go through again in terms of what we just went through? Any comments?
I think it's very clear. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? There's two routes to it. One is the logical one, and one is the more instinctive one. And yes, I did find that for myself that I have been more aggressive, because I guess it's because we're more confined, and also having to deal with the kids and the home-based learning. So for me, yes, I do find that my adrenaline is up a little bit more these days.
Wow, thank you, Sister Vicky. So besides all these implicit threats, there's also the pressure of a lot of things happening in the home as well. I'm going to show you this. I think some of you have seen this before. This article, this is from Bloomberg. Right, Wuhan actually had a lockdown, yeah? So right after they actually start removing or releasing the lockdown, they've noticed that the divorce rate has spiked. Okay, so this is some cartoon about like too many people working in the same house, you start getting onto everybody's nerves. Okay, so we just read through this. Okay, so this is like someone. Oh, this is not Wuhan. Actually, the lockdown elsewhere. So this lady from China, she stays in Guangdong. So there were 2 months in isolation. That's about us as well. Okay, we're going to spend 2 months in being at home. So they fought constantly. So what the irritants? These are actually very little, small irritants. Okay, money too little, true. A lot of us are under pressure in terms like people who have like pay cuts, maybe who have lost their jobs. There is pressure on the financial part. Screen time, too much, watch TV. I tell you why in a while, why there's too much TV in a while. Housework and childcare not taken care of. Like play in the evening. And then when like people are supposed to be working and the wife is tired. So divorce rates have been going up right after the lockdown. Okay? It's just like people around in the house and they get onto each other's nerves. But that's not the only reason. This is just yet another, ingredient that exacerbates it. The other point is that what I'm trying to say is that we are inundated by all these implicit threats that we are actually on the fight mode. Okay, that we are in this fight mode, so we become quite aggressive, and it's worse when that if you're aggressive and you're alone, that's fine, but you're aggressive and there are like 2 or 3 other people in the room that's also aggressive, you're going to have a war. Okay, now am I sharing screen now? Are you seeing my screen? I think I'm not sharing. Am I sharing screen yet?
No,
not
you
yet.
able to see my screen?
Haven't shared your screen.
Oh my gosh, okay, so sorry. So I'm going to, so I've been talking without sharing screen. Okay, I'm just, yeah, okay. So let me show you the article again. Yeah. So there's this article by Bloomberg. China's divorce spike is a warning to the rest of lockdown world. So right after the lockdown, there's a spike in the divorce rate in China. Okay, so as you can see the cartoon here, like getting on everybody's back. Okay, and so as I was saying, actually I was reading out from here. This Miss Wu from Southern Guangdong, 2 months in isolation. So her annoyance is that like money too little, screen time too much, household and childcare not taken care of, husband's habit of engaging their children in the evening when they're supposed to be going to bed. He's the troublemaker. The other point, of course, is that like the proverbial saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Without the stay period, like you do your thing, I do my thing, okay? We say hi and bye in the morning and hi again in the evening. Interaction time is not that long, okay? However, now it's like you got to see each other for like 24/7, okay? It can actually be a test of relationship. So divorce rates are up. Cases of depression or general unwellness is anticipated to go up. So there's a lot of these things here. Okay. I'm moving on to this. This is flight. Okay. Now, flight is the following. What is flight? Flight means you just want to run away. Okay, you don't want to face it. So actually, there's a clue here now in terms of what this flight behavior is. You see the complaint about the husband. Okay, screen time too much. So some people's response to this big event is actually to just engage in watching dramas, reading novels, watching movies, on internet, anything but the virus. Not necessarily a bad thing in general. However, if you completely disengage, okay, is a signal that you're in flight mode. You're not engaging. Like in this case, if the spouse is correct, then it just means that like the husband is completely disengaged. He's leaving the wife to maybe handle all the stuff, and he's disengaged, playing with the children. I'm just making an assumption. Watching movies, playing with the handphone, not engaged at all. And again, I said, understanding brings compassion. So with understanding that some of this reaction is actually a reaction, as I said, that is actually beyond the logical mind because it's a reaction to threat. We can be more compassionate to the people who actually went to rush to buy toilet paper. There's no judgment here. Really, there's no judgment. It doesn't matter if you tell them, why are you doing this? It doesn't matter why, because at that point in time, the logical mind is not working. It's been short-circuited. Understanding brings compassion. Okay, so that's the key point here. So likewise here, if people are disengaged, it could be that they're in flight mode. Right? So the other one is freeze mode. Freeze mode is the one that's probably the most serious one. That means you actually become very disoriented and you do not know what to do. You're completely frozen, you do not know what to do. You know, like if you drive in other countries where there are national parks and you drive at night in state parks, sometimes you will actually see the deers. They actually like were on the highway or on the mountain roads, and they're actually crossing the road. But when your car comes in and the headlight shines on them, they freeze. They do not know what to do. Or you know, like the deer sees a tiger, it actually either runs or it is so frightened it sometimes doesn't know what to do. It freezes. And there are people like that. They are just like not sure what to do. You know, when there's extreme fear. Alright. So I hope this has been quite clear in terms of like this the fight, the flight, and the freeze mode. Yeah. I just wanted to give you a clue about whether you're in this automatic response reaction mode. I'm not saying it's a response, it's a reaction mode. There are a few clues, okay? Because remember, it actually bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the logical part. What happens is that you have some awareness. After it, you will say, oh my gosh, why did I do that just now? You say, why did I do that just now? Now, this is a very, very strong and useful clue that you have been overtaken. Your logical mind has just been short-circuited earlier on. You didn't know what you're doing. Sometimes, you know, like again, as I said right now, that if everybody is starting to get aggressive, you sometimes get just heated up, you know, you just blow up. You know, it could be a short circuit. So you say, my gosh, why did I do that just now? So you ask yourself after the event, why I didn't understand why I did that. Second thing is fast. That means your reaction is instantaneous, very, very fast. Observe, because that's again sign that it's been short-circuited. You know, your this part of the brain. Okay, and then the reaction is big. Because remember, it's a fight, flight, or freeze mode. The last part is I tell you is like too much too much of a trigger. But the fight or the flight, in particular the fight mode, means that you need to run for your life or you need to fight for your life. So the reaction will be big. Right? But as I said, the clear signal is really like, why did I do that? You know, then you know that's been short circuit. Okay? So I'm going to actually talk about the response in the remaining time. I think I already taken up the 1 hour, but I'll just quickly talk a little bit about the responses. So fortunately for us, our body can regulate. So this is the sympathetic nervous system. This is the parasympathetic nervous system. It actually calms us down. So that means if your eyes get dilated, actually it slows down the dilation or makes the eye less dilated. You can salivate again. The heartbeat goes slower. You know, you can breathe more naturally. You can get hungry. You start getting hungry again. Okay, and you go to the toilet, but the whole body relaxes. Okay, and there's this vagus nerve that's responsible. Now, so in terms of responses, I will just talk about a few responses. Now, the first one is what we just did at the start of the session. And this is actually what the Buddha taught. So I hope, like, you know, like if anything, using science allows you to have more confidence, you know, in Dhamma. Because it's actually like the wisdom of the Buddha is like centuries ahead of us, you know, thousands of years ahead of us. So this coping responses is mindfulness. Now, what is the science behind this? The science behind this is that, remember I said that those reactions, you know, like, you know, the fight, the flight, or the freeze mode is automatic, is unconscious. What is happening is that the way to make it conscious is also the solution to our not reacting. In other words, when we name what is present, the naming itself is a conscious behavior. It's a conscious action. Consciousness brings light to the unconscious. Again, isn't this a wonderful testimony to what the Buddha talked about in terms of mindfulness? You name it. That's why we started by saying, look, I'd like you to do a self-report. What is your breath doing? No judgment. Remember, naming what is present. You name what is present. Is your breath fast or slow? Are you breathing? Is your body tense or relaxed? Are you feeling heavy? Are you feeling agitated? Are you feeling relaxed and light? What is your mind doing? Is it filled with worries and anxiety? Or loss of thoughts? Or is the mind like just cool, cool and relaxed? Overall, how are you feeling about things? Are you like in general optimistic about life? Or like having a little bit of dread that, when will this stop? You have this mindfulness, be aware. You name it. You name it, you're already on the path to conscious responses. Remember, there's a difference between reaction, which is automatic and unconscious, and snap of a finger, or even faster than that. And there's also a response. The response is the mindfulness of these 5 things. I talk about the spirit part or the overall, your overall sense of the world, because actually, in a sense, this is also like, a marker about whether your overall well-being is there. For the people with depression, the whole world is dark. So naming is the start of a mindful response. Okay? So this is one. Watch what you feed your mind. Again, because I'm saying that we are constantly inundated with bad news and all that, be mindful. Again, this is also a mindful thing, but it's actually something that is called self-care. You're caring for yourself. How do you do that? First, if you've been actually like every day looking out for coronavirus numbers, watching the number of deaths, okay, spare yourself, okay? Maybe you can watch every other day or every 3-4 days. Roughly, you know the numbers. Don't get so fixated on the death numbers, because actually the survival rates are actually pretty good. These numbers. The numbers are pretty good. Look at that. Oh, here you go. As I said, slightly under 1/3 are recovered. The death is actually under 7%. Statistically, with 3 million cases, this is pretty okay, right? Yeah, so, but do not feed yourself with negative information and start looking out for all the bad news and all that. This you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Watch what you feed your mind. Okay? And you can, feed your mind with some Dhamma, read some Dhamma books. Okay? Now, see here, this first 3 is actually, if you talk about 4 foundations of mindfulness, there's the mindfulness of the body, the emotion, the feelings, the mind. The last one is of the Dhamma. So, in terms of the Dhamma here, I'm making a bit, it's really not the Dhamma as in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, but I'm using this part to actually talk about, what we can learn from this. Now, again, see, if you actually notice, the coping responses are actually all involved with activating, this part here of the brain. The brain, the part of the brain, the cortex here, that is capable of thinking, that's capable of compassion, gratitude, love, sacrifice. Like If you think about the amygdala, sacrifice, you must be killing me, right? You know, because it's survival. So if you think about this part here, again, activate here. Look, how many people have died now? Just the numbers just now was like over 200,000 people, right? How many cases have there been? Has there been? 3 million. If you look at all this, and then how many jobs have been lost? How many businesses, have failed? How many lives have been ruined? Like how many parents, cannot see their children? There was this story about this man. He can't even see his child being born. There's a lot of disruption. So there's a lot of bad news. True. Question is, can we rise above this and actually see some meaning to this? Is there some learning point? A key point is there something that we can learn from this? And this is called, uplifting your spirit. And it's not talking of cheering yourself up. This is an event that's once in a century or how many centuries, we don't know. I can tell you some of our forefathers, our immediate forefathers never experienced this. And you certainly hope that it doesn't occur like every other year. This is going to be like, once in a lifetime event. Can we actually pick something up from this? So the most obvious one is that, this is the Dhamma staring at us, right? You see immense suffering. There's a lot of suffering. So when you see suffering, what is your response to that as a human? Not as an animal. What is your response to all this suffering as a human? You want to actually reach out and respond as a human that is capable of love, compassion, sacrifice? Or do you want to respond, as an animal, that's actually out there for your own survival? Now, again, as I said, in the heat of the moment, we can't do that. But actually, if we settle down, as in now, we actually can sit down and say, look, what would I do? What do I want to, what is the learning point here? So for example, I'm going to invite like some of the audience here to say like, what would you do differently after this? Or during this, or what would you do differently in your life after going through this? So I repeat the question again. And if you are listening to this as a recording, it's something to reflect on, not just now, but after. I repeat the question again. What is it that you will do differently to your life, after this event? So, actually, I changed my mind about asking for response because it's like an hour, 15 minutes now. So, but it's something to think about. I asked someone earlier on, the person said, oh, wow, gosh, like, I'm just going to treasure my relationships more. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about you. But maybe, yes, I think probably it's good to get some feedback at this point. Is there someone here who wants to tell me or to share with the audience? What is it they will do differently after this? If they thought about it, yes.
Okay, I think since this COVID-19, I try to, like I mentioned earlier, I try to look something is in the good way. For example, like how many number is recovered, then look on the news that what actually around us there is a lot of people who do a good deeds also during this
Right.
pandemic period. Instead of we are reading this something fighting because of the toilet paper or whatever. So it's try to look in the better way, look on the kindness around us, and if possible, is join with the kindness also.
Yeah. Thank you. Very nice. Yes. Anyone else?
I think I will try. I think I feel more grateful for the things I already have, because this situation has brought to light the things that were taken away from me. So like my freedoms, things that I want to get, I want to eat, but it's no longer there. So I think I will try. I'm very much more grateful. I think I will try to be much more contented, and I will hope that I will not be so critical all the time when this is over. And also starting from now, I hope that I will try and curb those defilements in me.
Thank you. So, thank you for the sharing. Like, we talk about absence makes the heart grow fonder. See, so there are a lot of things we take for granted, right? Of freedom, as Sister Pipu says. We take for granted of freedom. The ability to go to the park. The ability to visit, our relatives and loved ones at will, right? The ability to get your bubble tea. So you notice that actually we can't take all this for granted. There's impermanence, right? It's a good way to think about impermanence, and a lot of the Dhamma that there is suffering and there is a cause that actually leads to this suffering. But I leave you to contemplate. I mean, there's a lot of time to do this contemplation. So the next one is actually what Sister Hika had done, the gratitude. Have a sense of the gratitude of things that you have taken for granted that's going well in your life. Now, even in this period when you cannot get your bubble tea, even at this point in time where you struggle with children in a house and like both spouses work in a house in a cramped area, you can still bring to mind what is going on in your life. For example, you're still alive. That's the minimal part. You're still alive. And hopefully we have not got the COVID. There are little joys in life, and what better way to do so than now? When you could get everything that you wanted, maybe the small things that are going well in life will not come to surface. At this point in time, this is a wonderful opportunity to think about what else is going well in your life. Okay. Now, lastly, I'm going to talk about interventions. Remember, like in the heat of the moment, it's just very, very hard to actually respond, to react. So I'm just going to very briefly talk about interventions. That means you actually try to short circuit the short circuit. In other words, this part is activated, you're reacting. What can you do? Okay, or you feel it. And if you practice mindfulness, you actually can feel it. Unfortunately, sometimes when you feel it, you still cannot. Have you ever felt that in the heat of an argument, you already feel yourself like about to burst? Okay, and in the back of your mind, okay, if I open my mouth, it's going to like make it worse, but you still cannot resist it. That means something bad is going to happen, and that it's going to explode, but you cannot control it. At this point in time, I'm telling you that if you are caught in the reaction, there's very little chance for logic to work. So what can we do? So this is also scientifically based, okay? Now, one thing is the breath. You can say like the breath is wonderful, okay? If you can, and you can do this only if you've been practicing. Watch your breath. In, out. Now, you haven't been practicing, I'm sorry, I don't think you can watch your breath when you're in the heat of the moment. But if you can, there's a chance for you to actually just default to a habit. In other words, you're actually defaulting to a habitual pattern, and the habit hopefully will actually be stronger than your reaction, your tendency to react. So watch your breath. If you cannot, then actually practice this, okay? This is yogic practice really, but this is also founded in science. Science has actually shown there's something called the cardiac coherence. So if I show you this, there's something called the vagus nerve. See this one? What they've shown is that the breath has a way of actually soothing, of soothing the whole body. Okay, and what happens is that the way to soothe it is actually by slowing the breath. Now, I know in meditation, we actually say, watch the breath naturally. Now, in these cases of like, you feel like it's emergency or you feel like it's really quite overwhelming, you have to do an intervention where now your breath, you cannot just watch your breath, you actually have to do an intervention. And how do you do an intervention? You actually deliberately slow your breath down. When your breath slows down, your mind slows down. The breath and the mind and the body are connected. So what you do, you just try to you can follow what I do right now. Just breathe in. Take a deeper breath. Breathe in. Because a lot of us are holding our breaths. Just breathe in deeply and out. And take your time to breathe out. In other words, when you do this, you're actually lengthening your breath. One more time. Just breathe deeply and out. And one more time. Take a deep breath in and out. And if you practice yoga or you practice meditation, you know there's abdominal breathing. That means when you breathe in, you actually feel your abdomen with breath, like that figuratively speaking. Then you just feel like your whole chest, the whole, of your belly with air. So one more time, right? Just breathe in deeply and out. I don't know about you. See, for me, I just did 4 breaths. I do feel a difference. I'm not sure if any of you felt a difference. If you felt a difference, just shout out. But I do feel a difference just by doing 4 breaths. Okay. So that's what the cardiac coherence is. But never mind the technical terms. Just slow down your breath, taking deep breaths in and slowly breathing out. That's one way. The second way is the following. It's actually related. It is that you breathe in, but you actually make sure that your exhalation is longer than the inhalation. When the exhalation is longer, you actually calm down and try for yourself. Watch your state of mind now, then follow what I say. Just breathe in and slowly breathe out. Don't be a rush to breathe in. Okay? That's one breath, right? Second one, you can just breathe in and slowly breathe out. Noting that your exhalation is longer than your inhalation. One more time. In and slowly breathe out. Any reactions from you guys? I don't know. Did it make any difference? Do you feel any difference in doing this?
Yeah, most definitely feel a lot calmer.
Yeah, I do feel it immediately. Okay. So if you make it the default, that means you notice that you're stressed or you feel like you're going to like burst and you feel like instinct to do something. Okay, then intervention. If you haven't been practicing meditation and you find that watching is a bit too slow, this is what you do. You just breathe out slowly. The other way is actually more apparent, but it's very, very helpful. But this one people will know you're regulating. Now, by the way, this is called regulation. This is activated, you regulate yourself because therefore you're responding. So what you do is you breathe in through your nose and you breathe out through your mouth. Right? You can blow out or you can, you know, it's very obvious to people around you. It makes a difference. You can try to do it. Okay, let's just do blowing out. So just breathe in and out through your mouth. Just blow out. And this actually ensures that your out breath is longer than your in breath. One more time, just breathe in your nose and out through the mouth. Yeah. Okay. Of course, there's another variation which I did just now, which is like almost like a sigh, but it's not like I think like really sighing. It's like this is a regulation. It's not like you're like moaning away. Okay. So remember, it's different from moaning away. You just like you're trying to regulate yourself. You just breathe in and you're exhaling through your mouth. Okay. And the last one is actually touch. For touch, there are different ways. If you are feeling very like tense and all that, okay, you can actually like hug yourself, have a sense of touch. When you say hug yourself, you need to be mindful, aware of your hands on your body. Again, the reason is that the mind doesn't process logic. So you just feel it's mindfulness of the body. Use the mindfulness of the body to actually bring the mind's attention to something else. So as I'm doing this, actually I can feel myself like settling down too. Yeah. Okay. So if you do that, another thing I like to do is actually the following. Okay. Remember, like this is your thinking mind. This is your mind that's stressed. When I do this, I actually feel very good about it. Now this is like non-Buddhist already. Okay, like the Buddha doesn't talk about this, but there's some like like new age kind of work that says this. But there's also logic to this, right? Because this is your prefrontal cortex, logical part, and this back part, is actually where your brainstem is. And you can do this now, but I like to do this with mindfulness, and you can feel the difference. I feel the difference. If you put one hand here and one hand on the back, and then be aware of the hands on the forehead, be aware of the heat. And breathe, remember to breathe, don't hold your breath. I don't know what you feel. For me, when I do that, I feel a settling in also. And for me, this actually works very well for me. Yeah. Any reaction on this? I'm just curious for anyone who tried this. But the key point is not just like that. You have to be mindful of your hands on your forehead. That means you feel your hands touching your forehead. And importantly, feel your hands touching the back. So anyone wants to, I don't know whether you have any response to this simple exercise. Nobody. Okay, never mind. So I think that's all I have for tonight. I wanted to, if I were to recapitulate the following, I think what I was going to say, what I have been saying is that the first thing I want to say is that understanding is the key to compassion. And the understanding that I wanted to bring across tonight is that, there's this organ, part of the brain called the amygdala, that actually is our defense system. It actually defends against danger. And what happens is that you've just been inundated with a lot of like perceived threats. And what happens is that our nervous system is activated. So I urge everyone to actually be aware whether they are being activated. And also be compassionate to yourself and also be compassionate to others who you find that are getting irritable, are irritating, or acting in inexplicable way. Because they may not be aware of what they're doing. And when we say they are not aware of what they're doing, science actually shows that this is actually true. That when they actually go through the shortcut to activate the nervous system, the thinking mind isn't activated. So we talk about coping mechanisms, and one way is the mindfulness. You have to do a report, self-report of where you are right now, so that you know when there are changes. You can also know, therefore, when we do any of the coping mechanisms, whether it works for you. So, for example, mindfulness or the different aspects. I repeat again: your breath, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, and your overall well-being. Okay, so that mindfulness is important. The reason is that you need to bring things to the consciousness, and then be kind to yourself. Stop, feeding your mind with all these negativities. Okay, be selective and not so frequently. You need to be informed, but not so in such an aggressive way that you have to keep notes of every single death, every single case. Yeah. Then we also talked about like other interventions of actually using your breath, this controlled breath, to actually regulate the body. Okay. So that's all I have tonight. Let me stop sharing. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to close by wishing everyone that may you be well, may you be conscious. Yeah. And I wish everyone like good health. And I also urge that we spend this time to actually reflect a little bit on like what would you do? What would I do differently? After this experience. Don't let this experience be in vain. Like, oh, it's over and then everything is back to normal and then I go back to my merry ways. Surely there must be something that we can take away from this. And surely that this period of time, this whole event, surely, okay, it could be impetus for us to actually make a difference, in terms of our well-being, in terms of our spirit, in terms of our mind, in terms of our practice. Okay, so with it, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.